And we have to understand too that this is a nation and it's not a church. But once we get that understanding there too, that LGBTQ issues, it's ruining the church, and it's also going to ruin this nation.
I want to try and at least touch on the LGBTQ plus issue as it relates to Christless conservatism, because that's one thing I've been sort of alarmed about a little bit, is that there seems to be some unholy alliances, things. And you mentioned early in the podcast, there's a bit of a punting. So talk about the Christless conservatism of how it might manifest in the LGBTQ plus conversation.
Yes, and the alphabet is very long now, but I think
Yeah.
if we just stick to the LGBTQIA plus, I guess that's what we got. There might be some two in there or something, but what I'm seeing is like LGBTQ. If we just focus on that, get rid of all those nonsensical letters. All these letters are nonsensical. LGB, lesbian, gay, bisexual, has been punted by the Conservative Party. They have said that this fight is over, that gay marriage is now legalized. Gay people and people that are okay with gay marriage, and I'll say marriage in quotes because that's not a marriage. That's basically just some civil union recognized by the country. Marriage is between one man and one woman. That's been established by God. We can't redefine it. We don't have the ability to play God and redefine it and tell God, hey, we now got a different idea of what marriage is. They have punted that issue because they know there is some voters out there that are going to be middle right that either are lesbian, gay, or bisexual that may vote for people like DeSantis or Trump, or they might like Vivek Ramaswamy, or they might like some aspects of the Conservative Party. Things like gays against groomers. They do some moral work, I guess we could say. Like, yeah, there's some people that are fighting against the abuse of kids and sexualization of curriculums in school, but it's like an oxymoron. It's like thieves against murderers. And it doesn't really make sense much at all, but they're now being invited into the Conservative Party. And I know a lot of people are going to say, they're like, all right, yes, these politicians, they aren't running for pastor in chief, they're running for commander in chief. Vivek Ramaswamy has brought that up. I put that in a YouTube video. It's a funny little line, like, yes, that's true. And like, yes, we understand that you want to have your own version of the separation between church and state. Like, we wouldn't really have this state without Christ Church. And we have to understand too that this is a nation and it's not a church. But once we get that understanding there too, that LGBTQ issues, it's ruining the church, and it's also going to ruin this nation if we continue to allow people to now call these things marriages, let sexual depravity run rampant. Yes, there's still a lot of heterosexual sexual immorality. Yes, we will always mention that. But if the Conservative Party is going to say, the foundation of America is the family, and we are going to redefine what the family looks like, it's a disservice to children that have two dads in the home or two moms in the home. It's a disservice to these people to make them believe that they can basically go through sodomy just because they have their own idea of what love is. Like, all they're doing is punting this situation because they feel like the pendulum is swung so far that this is kind of what we need to do to get votes. And I think it's incredibly dangerous. And that's why I really hope that we have more solid pastors that give people a biblical understanding of, we still love these people dearly. So much. We love them enough to give them the truth. But we don't see adultery being promoted. We don't say like, hey, adultery, like, we're now in this day and age where it's like, you just don't feel like you can get enough from your one significant other. So just kind of like get those hall passes. I think we're seeing kind of the same sexual immorality here with the LGBTQ issues. And the final thing here is I really don't believe bisexuality is just skyrocketing with younger people, especially since they're getting sexualized curriculum. They're being exposed to sexualization at a younger age, which is just child abuse. But I really don't believe there's any such thing as bisexuality. Like, you aren't attracted to two genders. Like, you're just a sexually depraved individual that just feels like you want to get your fix on both sides. I don't believe that people are born that way at all.
Right.
And if you give into it and you expect people to accept you for that, again, it's the slippery slope. If we start accepting this and we start redefining marriage, all we're doing is slapping God in the face and say, hey, we are now God ourselves. We can redefine these things. God, thanks for some of the work you did in the past. We got it from here.
Here's the thing, like, it can be discouraging to think about as a Christian, but we know that God is on his throne. He is sovereign. And I think so many young people especially are going to get to the bottom of this whole LGBTQ plus rainbow and find that there's not a pot of gold down there. There's just emptiness. And when we work against our design, when we work against our purpose for which God created us, which is deeply rooted in the fact that we're made in the image of God, but also we're created to worship God, to be in relationship with him. And when we work against those things in any area, we're gonna get to the end of that, and there's gonna be emptiness, which is why we need a strong church. We need a strong church for when we see people starting to get to the bottom of all that and say, look, I need some meaning. I need to know what will fix what's wrong in me, and even the Holy Spirit convicting people of being sinners and all of this. The church needs to be ready, and so I love everything you're saying.